course coordinator for Australian Culture and Society. Welcome to New Step, and this is just a quick video for those of you who missed the orientation session. So this is the orientation rehash, yeah, that's what we'll call it. Okie doke. So it was a bit of an overview of the course, but it was also a chance, I suppose, for you guys to get to know me, and also for you guys to get to know each other as well. So those are the things I'll be going back over right now. Okay, so let's start off this orientation rehash with my introduction. So my name is Elisa. I have been teaching this course for what it feels like forever, probably close to 9 years now. So doing various roles, taking tutorials, presenting lectures, and now coordinating the course as well. So you may be lucky enough to have me as your lecturer and your tutor, but yeah, I suppose it's just the luck of the draw. So I am actually a former New Step student. I did New Step, I think it was in 2002, so what's that, 18 years ago. So I've got a vague memory of what it's like to be in your shoes. So yeah, I remember feeling super nervous, super excited to have a second chance as well. And I have this one memory of the day of the orientation, and my dad dropped me off, and there was a point where I actually didn't want to get out of the car. So super happy that I did that and that I can be here teaching you today. So in addition to teaching New Step, I have also worked in public health, and I am doing my PhD with the School of Medicine and Public Health at the moment. So I'm also a current student. Yeah, so I had so much fun the first time round, I thought I'd come back for round 2. So we did a little icebreaker exercise, and we'll be doing some of those in the tute, just so you guys can get to know each other, and for me to actually learn your names and stuff as well, and a bit about you. So we can't actually do this on the video, but I have set up a discussion forum, so it'd be great if you guys could hop on that and introduce yourself, and it's also a really good place to ask questions about the course as well. So what I find is that for every question that someone asks, there's usually at least 5 other students that are wondering the same thing. So it's a really great way of learning together. And I know that because I usually get a ton of emails asking me the same thing. So if you can, ask it in person, and we can all learn from those answers and questions together. So this course is basically an introduction to sociology, when we're focusing on the Australian social context, hence the title of the course, Australian Society and Culture. So you might be thinking, well, what the heck is sociology? Well, just to clear a few things up, it's often confused with psychology, probably the whole ology bit. They sound quite similar, but we approach things very differently. So psychology looks at individuals. It's the study of human thoughts and feelings, so looking at the emotional, the sort of personality aspects, and the neurological, sort of biological side of things, so focusing on individuals. Whereas sociology is the study of various cultures and societies. So we take a bit of a macro perspective, which means that we sort of take a step back and look at the bigger picture instead of the sort of individual experience. So sociology is defined as the study of the relationship between the individual and society, and how human thought, action and interaction shape and are shaped by society. So just to break that down a bit more for you, it's about how not only do we influence society, but society in turn influences us. So there's like this two-way interplay of influences, and that's what we are interested in sociology. So we look at the connection between the personal issues and the larger social forces, and some examples that we look at, and some we might cover in the first lecture as well, are looking at things like homelessness, for example. So that is quite obviously a problem for the individual, but if we look at it from a macro perspective, so from a big picture sociological perspective, there could be a range of different things that are causing this epidemic of homelessness. So for example, things like the high cost of living, so someone might not be able to afford to rent, let alone buy their own house. Things like unemployment can affect the cost of living. So if you don't have a job, or if you have a job that earns a low income, you might not be able to afford housing. And then we can look at things like education, for example, and how that might influence your chances of employment. So when we look at these personal issues and we link them to larger social forces, we're using evidence, and evidence that is collated through research. So we also look at theory as well. So there's lots of different sociologists and different theoretical perspectives. So I suppose different explanations and emphasis on different causes and things with the different theories. So we'll have a look at that most certainly further on in the course. And the thing that's I suppose super valuable as well is that we help you to develop your critical thinking skills. And the reason why that is universally awesome, I guess, is because it's a skill that you can apply across your studies. So it doesn't really matter what degree or what discipline you choose to go on and study, or even if you don't, critical thinking skills can come in handy in academia, but also in daily life as well. So some of the topics we will be covering are inequalities, so social inequalities, those that are based on gender, race, class and ethnicity. We'll also be looking at what we call selected social institutions. So for example, things like the family, work as well. And we'll also be having a look at media, religion, culture and identity. And we'll be examining these from a sociological perspective, and of course sort of within the parameters of Australian society and culture. So you might be thinking, how do we learn this stuff? Well, there are weekly lectures, they go for 2 hours, and there's also a 1-hour tutorial. So attendance to both of those is compulsory, so we do take rolls, so we know who goes and who doesn't. The lectures will also be recorded and posted online, but they're not a substitute for attending in person. So if something happens, someone gets sick, or there's an emergency and you can't come to a lecture, then they're great, but I would not rely on them, because a lot of that extra information comes from that face-to-face contact, and like what I was saying before, from other people asking questions, but also that interactive stuff that we're going to be doing as well, especially in the tutorial. So we had an excellent session in the Great Hall, where Hugo was actually one of the former students who presented to the whole group, and we were also lucky enough to have Hugo come along and co-present with me for the course session. So Hugo was very generous with his advice and sharing his experiences, and some of the things that he told us that he thought were important for you guys to know, that not leaving things to the last minute, which I think is super practical advice. It's good in theory, but I understand that assignments and stresses build up, so it can happen. But if there's things that you can do, particularly at the start of the course, to start good habits and get on top of things, then I would highly recommend that you do that as much as possible. What else did Hugo say? He also talked about the great support services that are available through New Step and the Enabling Programs Unit. So you can have support in terms of academic support, but also social support as well. So there's a counselling service, and there are also other services. So there are different groups and workshops and things. You can have one-on-one help, or you can have group help as well. So I'll be talking about those and posting about those on Blackboard. So take advantage of those opportunities. So in conclusion, my parting advice is that this course can be tricky at first, because we do look at things that we encounter in our daily lives. But the skills that you will learn are going to be really, really useful, particularly if you go on to study at university, but also in your daily life as well. So critical thinking skills, academic writing skills, research skills, but also the practical stuff. So with New Step, you're really lucky that you do have all of these supports available. But also keep in mind that when you start your undergrad, if you choose to, that you're going to be quite ahead of the game. And I know this from my personal experience as well, but also, Hugo backed me up on that during the session. So you'll know, for example, where the library is, how to write, what's expected with tutorial participation. So you'll have some practice at doing group work, but also talking and asking questions as well, and all that sort of stuff that the first years who are straight out of school might not be that familiar with. So keep that in mind, and I hope you all have a look on Blackboard. There's heaps of info up there now, so in preparation for the lecture and the tute next week, there are lecture slides under the course materials tab on the left of the screen. What else do we have? We've got the discussion forum, I mentioned that. Something else. Oh, and I've also been super kind, and I've put up an electronic copy of your course reading for this week. So that's under course materials week 1 tab. If you have any problems, shoot me a message and I will get back to you. But also feel free to come up to me in lectures and after tutorials as well, or during, and ask any questions then. Okay, so that's it from me. I hope you enjoyed your orientation session rehash, and I hope to see you all next week.